If you're not aware of these psychological facts about women and sex, then you'll feel insecure around women because you'll notice that they aren't approaching the idea or the possibility of sex in the same way that you are. They aren't reacting in the same way as you are to them. You're feeling attracted to them and wanting to have sex, and they kind of seem like they're neutral. They're not even interested at all. They don't even possibly think about sex. But as you'll discover in this video, and it's backed by studies, women do actually want to have sex, but there are certain reasons why they act like they don't want to. And you need to be aware of that so you don't feel insecure around women and you actually get to the point of having sex with them. So the first psychological fact is that women think about sex more than they admit or realize. Right? So a study found that women reported thinking about sex approximately 6 times a day. However, when asked to track their thoughts using a tally counter, the average increased to 19 times per day. So the increase in the amount of times that women thought about sex would have been influenced by the fact that they had to tally it. However, the fact still remains that women think about sex multiple times per day. And it's important for men to understand that because women rarely give that impression to men. Unless a woman is very sexually forward and she's very sexual, she will rarely, if ever, make sexual references. She'll seem like she's not even interested in sex at all. It doesn't even cross her mind. Right? She'll just be talking to a guy in a friendly, neutral way. And the guy is thinking, well, she's not making it obvious that she wants me sexually. She's not seeming interested in sex. So maybe she's not interested in sex. Maybe if I started flirting with her and attempting to create a sexual vibe, she would reject me because she seems kind of neutral. She doesn't even seem interested in that sort of thing. Yet, as you'll discover from another study in this video that I'll mention, there's something that you need to do in almost all cases if you want a woman to want you sexually. If you want her to go from off mode to on mode. Right? So, number 2, many women secretly do want casual sex, but decline offers for it because they're worried about being negatively judged by you or others. So, research conducted at the University of Michigan found that women are less likely to accept casual sex offers, not because of a lack of interest, but due to their concerns about being judged. Right? So the quote was, women were less likely to accept casual sex offers than men due to the negative judgments women anticipated for accepting the casual sex offer. There was also another study done at Florida State University, and it illustrated this point perfectly. Essentially, what the researchers did is that they had male and female students randomly approach the opposite sex, and they said, I've been noticing you around campus. I find you to be very attractive. And then they asked one of the following 3 questions. Would you go out with me tonight? Would you come over to my apartment tonight? Or would you go to bed with me tonight? So the question of would you go out with me tonight resulted in a 56% yes rate from women and a 50% yes rate for men. Would you come over to my apartment tonight? 6% of women said yes and 69% of men said yes. But how about would you go to bed with me tonight? Well, 0% of women. So no women said yes to that, but 75% of men said yes. So the thing is, when it comes to such a direct question of would you go to bed with me tonight, the woman is then worried about how she's going to be judged. Even though she may want to have sex, right? She might be feeling a bit horny. She's been thinking about sex 6 times a day or whatever amount of times per day it is for her. And a guy comes up to her and offers her to come over and go to bed with him that night. Her body may be saying yes, right? Have sex, but her mind is then worrying, hang on, if she says yes, what are other people going to think about her? If he goes and tells other people, what's he going to think about her? Is he going to actually respect her? And what that means is he actually going to think of her as a valuable woman that he may want to get into a relationship with? Or is he going to think, well, she was easy. I don't think much of this girl. I don't really think anything of her. I just had sex with her like that just by asking her. She's too easy. I wouldn't be able to trust her in a relationship. She's just good for sex, right? She's worried about those sort of things. But when a man asked her if she wanted to go out with him that night, she was much more likely to say yes, because that could lead to sex, but it's not her directly saying yes to sex, right? It could lead to it. And as a result, the man is less likely to see her as being too easy when it comes to sex, because she didn't say yes to sex. She said yes to going out with him that night. And that could mean just catching up and having a date that doesn't even lead to a kiss, let alone sex. In terms of coming over to the guy's apartment, 6% of women said yes to that. Some women will do that because they can reframe it in their mind as that they're just going over to the guy's apartment to hang out. It doesn't mean that they're definitely going to have sex with him, right? Because it doesn't mean that, right? If a woman comes over to a guy's apartment, it doesn't mean that she's definitely going to have sex with him. So if she goes over there and they hang out and they kiss and they don't have sex, that's fine. Or if she goes over there and they just hang out and there's not much of a vibe and she's not feeling attracted to him, she can just leave. But if they end up having sex, then okay. Well, she didn't say she was coming over for sex. Instead, it just happened. And that way she can reframe it as she just went over there to hang out and one thing led to another. So it's important for guys to understand this, because from a guy's perspective, when they see a woman that they feel attracted to, they can instantly just say yes to having sex with her. And the study there backed it up, where 75% of the guys said yes. And some of the guys may have already had a girlfriend or be seeing a girl and they still said yes. And some of the guys may have had a girlfriend and said no because of that. So that's why it was possibly 75%. If all of the guys were single, it may have been 100%. Who knows? But guys are much more willing to instantly say yes to having sex with a woman. They say that in their mind, right? When they see women that they find attractive, it's just yes or no. Yet because the absolute majority of women don't behave in that way, many men think that women aren't even interested in sex. Or maybe it's them. They're just not good looking enough because they've seen guys who are very handsome get attention from women and women show interest in them. That does happen. But what also happens is that because of that, guys seeing handsome men get some attention from women, they automatically assume that, okay, women just don't see me in that way, so why should I even try, right? Women aren't reacting to me in the way that they react to very handsome men. So if I even attempt to talk to these women that I find attractive, I'm going to get rejected. She's not going to be interested in me. They're not showing me that sort of interest. And because of that, a lot of women are ready and willing and available to say yes to a guy who asks them out and sets up a date and then moves things forward. But guys don't do it because they think they're going to get rejected. Additionally, they think it's just them. They don't realize that most guys are feeling that fear of rejection, that feeling where they're not wanted by women. Yet when other guys actually just give themselves a chance, they end up getting a girlfriend, even though they're not a tall, handsome man. And guys who don't understand how a woman's attraction works will look at these other men getting girlfriends and wonder, how the heck are they doing it? It seems to go against what they believe, right? They have been told maybe by the media or even by angry videos on YouTube where guys are complaining about women, right? Women only want a guy who's 6 foot tall, who's making 6 figures, who's got abs and so on, right? That's what they've been told by these angry videos on YouTube. But then when they look at the world around them, they're like, oh, hang on, he doesn't have 6-pack abs. Well, hang on, he's not taller than her. Hang on a second. He's not a handsome model. What's going on? The thing is, many guys get themselves a girlfriend or have sex with women because they give themselves a chance. Unlike so many men these days who are going through life thinking that they can't attract women, that women only want the handsome man, the rich man, and so on, other guys just give themselves a chance. And the woman says yes to going out with him. And the next thing you know, she's feeling attracted to him. She starts to fall for him. They're kissing, they're having sex, they get into a relationship. The next thing you know, they've been a couple for years, for 10 years, for 15 years. Additionally, guys who don't even look that good or who aren't as tall as the woman or who may have a bit of a belly, who don't have 6-pack abs and so on, they're getting casual sex because they're asking women out. They're walking up and talking to a woman and she's feeling attracted to the fact that he had the confidence to do that. The guy is continuing to feel confident and talk to her and maybe use some humor or flirting or display some other traits that make women feel attracted. And she is interested. And then he asks for her number and he arranges a catch up. The next thing you know, they're kissing on the date. They're having sex. They're in a relationship. And the majority of women prefer it to unfold in that way, where the guy doesn't directly ask for sex or doesn't directly expect her to want to have sex right away. Instead, he understands that women have to operate differently when it comes to dating, sex, and relationships, right? They can't just go around showing active interest in sex because if they do that, most guys aren't going to look at them as being a valuable woman that they want to invest their time in and have a relationship with, right? They're most likely just going to look at her as a woman that they want to have sex with once or twice, or maybe even not at all, because she's just so sexually forward. So women have to present themselves in a different way. They have to behave in a different way. And you as a man have to understand how it works. So you're not going through life mistakenly thinking that women aren't interested in sex. They're not interested in guys who don't look perfect and aren't successful and tall and have abs and so on. You've got to understand that in most cases, if a guy just gives himself a chance and asks the woman out, he gets a result. Another psychological fact about women and sex that you must know as a man is that her hormonal cycles influence her sexual desire for you. So a woman's sexual interest, mood, and energy levels fluctuate throughout the month. For example, many women feel more flirtatious and sexually motivated around the time where they ovulate, right? So when they have an egg that is available to be fertilized and get pregnant. And that happens because certain hormones are increasing in her body. Whereas in other times of the month, she'll have less libido or sexual drive and she'll become more emotionally sensitive. And for a lot of guys, that will confuse and frustrate them when they're in a relationship with a woman or when they're just starting to date her. One day she's really interested and happy and keen. A week later, she seems a bit moody and disinterested, a bit sensitive emotionally, right? A bit irritable even, right? Because she's coming up to the point where she's about to get her period. And the few days before then, a lot of women tend to become quite irritable and their mood changes, right? So he might get a different type of text from her around the time that she's ovulating or leading up to it, and a completely different type of text when she's coming into the point where she's going to have her period. And it's important that you understand this as a man, because for us men, our hormones remain the same throughout the month. Our hormone testosterone, which is the predominant sex hormone that we have, is essentially a straight line. It goes like this a little bit, but that's just because it increases and decreases at certain times of the day and night, right? So that's a lot different than it being like this, right? Where you have way less testosterone at this time of the month and way more testosterone at that time of the month. It doesn't work like that for us. We're consistent, but women aren't. And for a lot of guys, they end up feeling confused when they're starting to date a woman or they're deep into a long-term relationship or marriage with her when she's not behaving in the same way throughout the month. And he's thinking, well, what's wrong? What have I done? Right? When in reality, in many cases, she's just starting to feel moody because it's that time of month, or at another time of the month, she's feeling more happy and bright and upbeat and flirtatious and sexually interested. And he's thinking, oh, cool. What have I done now? Right? What have I done to deserve this? And he doesn't understand what's going on. So as a man, you need to be aware of these sort of things so you don't take it personally. You don't suddenly see a difference in how she's behaving or her interest in sex at a certain time of month and take it personally. Just understand that she's going through a roller coaster of a hormonal cycle. And sure, sometimes she's going to be feeling moody and turned off because of something that you did. Or sometimes she's going to be feeling attracted and turned on because of something that you did. But sometimes it's just going to be because of her. And you need to be aware of that so you don't take it personally and start getting annoyed with her and frustrated and moody yourself. Right? Don't get on her roller coaster. You remain on a consistent flat line, essentially. Right? Your confidence in yourself, your belief in yourself, your mood is essentially going to be the same. You're not going to be moody and emotional like a woman. Yet if you get on the roller coaster with her, right, not only will that make you annoyed and frustrated, but it will also make her annoyed and frustrated because she doesn't want you to be following her into her moods. Right? She doesn't want you to feel insecure and emotionally sensitive because she's less interested in sex at a certain day or few days in the month. Right? She doesn't want you to be taking that personally. You've got to maintain your confidence. Number 4, most women experience responsive sexual desire. So Dr. Rosemary Basson, who's a professor of psychiatry and has been working with women and their sex drive for a long time, found that women at the outset of sexual activity do not need to have sexual desire, as in drive, and many women do not distinguish their desire from arousal. So what the heck does that mean? It essentially means that women often don't need to feel desire before sex begins. Many women only feel it once they're already aroused. Another way of saying it is that at first, women don't always feel a strong sexual urge. Sometimes they only notice that they want it once things have started. And studies have found that many women experience responsive desire. Right, so that means that they're not going to have many sexual urges and want to initiate sex a lot. Initially, at the start of a relationship, a woman may do that because it's all new and exciting and so on. But for some women, even at the start of a relationship, they won't initiate sex and they won't be having strong sexual urges unless the man actually makes them feel turned on. Prior to then, she may find him attractive, but she's not aroused. Right? She's not feeling like, yes, I want to have sex right now, unless the man actually makes her feel turned on. And the thing is, it's kind of cool that it works that way. And I think it's been built into nature for a reason. If women behaved in the same way as men and they felt the same way as men, where we have spontaneous desire, right? We just look at a woman and want to have sex with her, or we just suddenly feel the urge to have sex with a woman. It just comes over us and we just want to have sex. It's like, where's a woman? I want one, right? And you just have that desire. You want to have sex, right? If women felt the same way as men do towards women, right? If they felt the same way towards men, then people would be getting it on in the streets, right? They'd be rolling around on the footpaths, just getting it on, right? Stop your car at the traffic lights. It's like, hey, right? And then the next thing you know, she gets into the car, she's jumping on the man and they're getting it on. Or they pull over and they go into a car park, they're getting it on, right? It'd be a completely different world. And one of the reasons I think it's built into nature is that it makes the family unit possible, right? Where a man will impregnate a woman and he will then stick with her because she is loyal to him and he can trust her to be loyal to him, right? They can build that family together. They can have a relationship. Because as you can see from the Florida State University study, 75% of men immediately said yes to having sex with a woman when she asked, right? So if women were like that, where they immediately said, hey, I like you want to have sex, you wouldn't be able to have committed relationships, right? Because women will be going through their life and just feeling attracted to men in the same way that we feel attracted to women, where it's just an instant yes. And if both men and women were that easy about having sex with each other, you wouldn't be able to have a relationship. You wouldn't be able to keep anything together. So while it might be frustrating for some men that women experience responsive desire and they're not reacting to them in the same way that they react to women, it's important that you understand that it's a good thing, right? It is there for a reason. And if you understand that women have that type of desire, then you'll know that a woman will want to have sex with you if you're able to make her feel attracted and aroused. If you're able to do that and then move things forward, then you'll get results. But if you're just waiting for women to jump on you or show obvious interest and give you loads of green lights and thumbs up that they want to have sex with you, then you're probably going to be waiting a very long time. The next psychological fact about women and sex is that women use flirting to express sexual interest rather than saying that they want sex. So a study found that flirtatious facial expressions are subtle and ambiguous, and this allows women to communicate their potential interest while keeping a buffer of safety. So the thing is, women are interested in sex, they think about sex, they want sex, and they're open to having sex, but they can't directly say that for the reasons I've been talking about in this video. So what do they do instead? What they do is they flirt, right? They give you subtle signals that they're interested in you sexually, and you need to be able to notice those signals, and you also need to be able to flirt with the woman back, right? So what happens with flirting is that it's a way to communicate your sexual interest in each other, but it's just done in a playful, non-serious way, right? It's not a case of saying to a woman, I want you sexually, I like you sexually, do you want to have sex? And her saying, yes, I want to have sex. It's a subtle, discreet language that men and women use to be able to say to each other that they find each other sexually attractive and that they're open to potentially having sex without actually having to risk saying that, right? So it's like a safe zone where you can show interest in each other without worrying about getting rejected because, hey, you're just flirting in a playful way. You're just flirting in a non-serious way. You're not saying that you really like her and you want to be her boyfriend, or what does she look for in a guy? And, can I take you out sometime? I really like you, and so on. It's just more subtle. And by the way, if you don't know, I have a dedicated lesson on flirting at Master Attraction with 43 examples of what to say to flirt with women. But for many guys, they don't even have the confidence to walk over and talk to a woman that they find attractive, or to be confident when they're talking to a woman that they find attractive and feel like they're good enough. And for that reason, the first lesson at Master Attraction is on confidence. And the guys who have learned from that lesson and applied it say things like this, where they say that it's absolutely incredible, right? Women suddenly start to find them attractive because of this mindset. You'll see if you do it yourself, and you actually feel like you're good enough. It's an amazing transformation, right? It's something that happens for you right away if you use it. And guys who've been using it have been saying it's a game changer. Right? Guys who have been using it are getting results like this, where they go out and the first time that they try the techniques that they've been learning from me, they have sex with a woman on the first night. And many guys who've been learning from me get that type of result, but other guys just get into a relationship, right? They want a girlfriend, and that's fine. But essentially why they're now getting results is that I'm teaching them how to display the type of non-physical traits that make women feel sexually attracted, and how to have the confidence to actually shoot their shot and then be able to continue to believe in themselves and feel worthy of the woman that they just got a phone number from, right? For example, this guy was saying that he was a bit overwhelmed by the attractiveness of the woman that he got with and had sex with, but he still did it because he's applying what I teach, right? Some guys, they'll learn something maybe on YouTube and they'll think, oh, that sounds like a cool idea. Oh, that sounds interesting, but then they won't actually do it. All right, and that's one of the benefits of being part of my community, where you can see other guys posting about what they're achieving and what they're doing. And it reminds you of what you actually need to be doing, in addition to the fact that I give you lessons every month. So if you're interested in that, head over to masterattraction.com. Alternatively, I'll see you in the next video here on YouTube.